Hi, everyone. This is Heather Hodges. I'm an organizational psychologist. Welcome to my show. This is the place where we say I'm in to creativity, bold thinking, transformational growth, and meaningful conversations. Today is the continuation of a series of podcasts on the Enneagram where I'll explore each of the 9 types, their wings, stress, and security numbers, how they might show up at work, their blind spots, and paths for growth. So today we're wrapping up this series of solo podcasts with Enneagram Type 7s. So Enneagram 7s are called the Epicure or enthusiastic visionaries, and they have the passion of gluttony and the desire to be cared for. They are spontaneous and versatile, materialistic, and scattered. And epicure means taking delight in the very best possibilities. Now, gluttony doesn't necessarily mean eating too much food. Gluttony refers to this insatiable desire to fill oneself up with experiences. So the opposite of gluttony is sobriety or trying to stay with a single focus. So at their best, 7s focus their talents on worthwhile goals, and they become appreciative and joyous and satisfied. Now, the basic fear of a 7 is of being deprived or of being in pain. And so their basic need is to avoid pain and to be cheerful. So the key motivations, they want to maintain their freedom and their happiness and to avoid missing out on worthwhile experiences and to keep themselves excited and occupied and, of course, above all, to avoid pain. So 7s are often extroverted, they're optimistic, they are versatile and spontaneous, they are playful and high-spirited and practical, and they can also misapply their many talents and become overextended and then scattered and undisciplined. And they constantly seek new and exciting experiences, but they can become distracted and exhausted by staying on the go. So they typically have problems with impatience and impulsiveness. So 7s try to avoid feelings of emptiness by all of these positive, stimulating ideas that they can think of. But they never feel like they've had enough. So they always just want more. There's always something more to do, something more to try, or something more to experience. So now 7s, they are masters of denial, but they are so much fun to be around. We just love to be around 7s. Now, 7s are in the fear triad, but you would never think that they are fearful. And you'll remember that the other numbers in the head or the fear triad also struggle with fear, and they each handle it in just a little bit different ways. 5s handle their fear with just gaining more knowledge and more information. 6s handle their fear with pessimism and worst case scenario planning. And 7s, on the other hand, they handle their fear with optimism and reframing negatives into a positive. Now, here's something interesting and unfortunate that we do to 7s. 7s are almost always upbeat and fun, but for a 7 to grow and mature, they sometimes have to learn to stay focused and to see something all the way through to the end, even if it's hard and even if it's painful. And if you know a 7 who is doing this kind of work, you know what we do to them? We just kind of walk up to them and we say, "What's wrong with you? You used to be so much fun. You just need to snap out of it." So one of the things I hope you hear me say is that we can either help or hinder someone else's growth and journey and the work that they're trying to do just by our expectations that we put on them. So we need to be aware of that and not get in the way of each other's growth and development. Now, 7s, they've made an art form out of ignoring the darker side of life and just living on the fun side. They will ask themselves, I wonder how much variety, how many interesting things I can just bring into this exact moment. So they try to just generate as many positive and stimulating ideas as they can in order to overcome feelings of inner emptiness. But they never quite feel like they've had enough. They're masters of denials, and sometimes they kind of get discouraged because they think people aren't aware of their deeper, more serious side. Now, sevens are very charming. They have a way of just lifting people up around them. And they get sad when life is repetitious and limiting. And they dread, and I use that word intentionally, they dread or fear being stuck in pain or being stuck in a boring event. So sevens are always up for new experiences, but mainly because they want to anticipate the new experience, because anticipation is just so much fun for the sevens. So sevens love to plan vacations, because when you plan a vacation, you can also almost experience it twice, because you're anticipating the vacation and then you get to go and enjoy the vacation. But a lot of times sevens tell me that the vacation that they planned and anticipated, when they lived it out, it was great, but it didn't quite meet their anticipation. Now, interestingly, I have a friend who is a seven, and I kid you not, she is a Disney vacation planner. And I cannot think of a more perfect job for her than to help families plan the ultimate Disney vacation. So for her, she has this anticipatory experience every time she plans a vacation with a family. And so that's probably one of the reasons she's so brilliant at it, because she can plan that vacation, anticipate all of the fun events that this family is going to have, and then she helps them enjoy that vacation. So perfect job for a seven. I think that if we didn't have sevens in the world, we would have a lot less happiness in the world, because they bring a lot of energy. They bring a lot of joy. But sevens also have to learn that less is more. And one of the things that sevens do to themselves is they fool themselves into thinking that they have a full range of emotions. So think of a gas gauge. So if it's, the gas gauge is, the empty is all the way over here, it's despair and sadness and the darker emotions. So that's empty. And full, on the other hand, is joy, happiness, elations. So sevens prefer to live in this upper half of the range, the happy side of life, until something happens in their life that they can't reframe. And then they end up over there in the sad half of the emotional spectrum. And that's unfamiliar territory to them. And it feels really scary. But they are very capable of dealing with those negative emotions when they have to. But their intuitive nature is to live over here on the happy side of life. Now, remember, sevens are in the head triad, and that means that they think that they can live their life in their head. Now, spontaneity is important to sevens, but as you know, everything can't always be planned out. But sevens like to always leave room for spontaneity. So if you run into a seven on a Tuesday and you say, "Hey, let's go grab drinks and dinner on Friday evening," they might prefer to keep their options open. Even though you're good friends with them, something else more fun might come up between now and Friday. So don't take that personally. Just know that's the seven doing their spontaneity thing. Now, sevens are always interested in the lives of their partners or their spouse or their friends, because it's kind of like having two lives for them, because remember, they live their lives in their head so that they can experience their life and your life too. So sevens give so much of themselves to helping everyone around them enjoy life. And when they withdraw their energy, it almost feels like it's sucking the air out of the room, because they are so big and their personalities take up so much space. Okay, let's talk about wings. Now, remember, I've said this for all 9 of these podcasts, but just so you remember, your wings are on either side of your core number, and everyone has access to both wings. So it's inaccurate to say I'm an 8 with a 9 wing or I'm a 1 with a 2 wing. You have both wings. You just have one that is stronger than the other, one that is overly developed. And your work is to grow both of your wings so that you are balanced and mature. So of course, sevens have a 6 wing and an 8 wing. So sevens with that strong 6 wing, they are a little more settled and a little more conscientious than sevens with that strong 8 wing, they're able to give people and projects more time before moving on to the next thing. So these 7s are a bit more anxious, but they commit to relationships and they have a good chance of staying connected and working through challenges. Now, on the other side, 7s who have a strong 8 wing, they are more competitive and bold and aggressive. So with an 8 wing, they are persuasive and assertive, and they usually get their way. Still, they're playful, and having a good time is more important to them than gaining power. So these 7s are easily bored, so they sometimes start projects, but they don't finish them. So what about stress and security or growth? What do the arrows mean? So when 7s are operating in stress, they can suddenly become perfectionistic and critical like an Enneagram 1. So they become judgmental, pessimistic, and argumentative. And they start blaming other people for their problems, and they lapse into black and white thinking. However, when they're moving in the direction of security and growth, 7s become more focused and fascinated by life like a healthy 5. So in this space, they stop consuming and they start contributing. They are more comfortable with silence and solitude, and they can become more serious, and they're able to just fully contemplate life and their place in the world. Okay, what do 7s look like at work? So 7s excel in jobs that are fast-paced, creative, and offer them a lot of independence and flexibility with a variety of activities. So 7s are dreamers and initiators, and they're able to synthesize information from this wide range of subject matters. So they are prolific idea generators. I call it just like popcorning ideas. So the 7s are also rock stars when it comes to working on short-term projects or getting projects or businesses up off the ground. And they are marvelous team players, and they bring enormous energy and creativity to the workplace. And they are notorious for spontaneity too. So keep that in mind if you're on a team with a 7 or you supervise a 7. Now, like 8s, 7s don't like to be told what to do. So working for a controlling or micromanaging boss who imposes too many limits on them, that rarely works out well. But sometimes 7s use their charm and their charisma to manipulate authority figures, so keep that in mind too. Now, 7s work best in situations that are both firm and flexible. They need to be held accountable for their work like every number does, but you can give a responsible and talented 7 a lot of room, a lot of headway when they're doing a complex job, and they will just knock it out of the park. Now, we all have blind spots, so here are a few blind spots that you might experience if you're a 7. 7s, you may not realize that you are distracting to others when you jump from topic to topic or when you display a lot of animated body language. 7s, you also may not see that your high-spirited behaviors can cause others to take you less seriously. And 7s, you sometimes think you know what another person is going to say, so you stop listening. And as a result, you may not have all the information or all the knowledge that you think you have. Now, 7, here are 5 tips. Actually, I'm going to give you 6 tips for growth and development in your life and leadership. First of all, slow it down. Slow your pace by half. Reduce your pace by 50% and speak half as fast as you normally do, and only say half of what you want to say. And second, find the sliver of truth in criticism. You tend to defend against criticism by rationalizing and blaming or critiquing the critic. Instead, ask yourself, what might be true about the criticism and what can I learn from it? And third, follow through. Work to complete a project before starting your next one. Number 4, you tend to listen more with your head than with your heart. So take the time to truly listen and ask yourself, what are they saying about what they think and what they feel? Number 5, in a similar vein, you're a quick thinker, but you don't always know what the other person is going to say. Let them finish speaking before you start speaking. And number 6, finally, deepen your emotional repertoire to also include feelings on that sadder side of the spectrum, feelings like fear and anger and sadness, because without an awareness of these emotions, your ability to fully empathize with others, it will be stunted. Well, there you have it, Enneagram 7s. This is the last part of a series of episodes where I explored each of the 9 Enneagram types. So if you missed the other episodes on the Enneagram, please go back and take a listen. And if you are interested in taking the IEQ9 Enneagram assessment that's 95% validated, please visit my website and I'll put a link in the episode notes as well. Just know that there is a fee for that test. And thank you for joining me in this conversation. And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and please leave a review or a comment and share it with somebody who could use a dose of creativity and inspiration. So until next time, keep saying amen to creativity and bold thinking, transformational growth, and meaningful conversations. May you be wildly creative in your life and leadership. I'll see you soon.